Apologies for that. Everything went blank for a second. Welcome. I'm hoping you're out there. I'm hoping you can see me. I'm going to actually ask Tessa to give me a thumbs up if we are all now good. Can Tessa just give a thumbs up at the screen? Excellent. Brilliant. Okay. Fabulous. Welcome. Apologies for the slight technical hitch. At least, if nothing else, you realise that it's not this kind of technical thing happens to everyone. My name's Christine, and I am delighted to be your host this morning, your coach for this webinar, all about how to create video for YouTube. Right. What do you need to know? As I say, I'm Christine, and I am a coach for Google's free skills training program, the Google Digital Garage. I've been working in marketing since before it was digital. So when I started, we were looking at newspaper adverts, we were looking at TV, maybe outdoor advertising, leaflets, pinning up on notice boards. Then obviously the internet came along. We've got websites, then came social media. And along the way, video has become a hugely exciting tool for the marketeer. But it can be a little bit daunting, I guess, to get involved with. So today's session is all about trying to remove some of that mystery and look at how you can use the power of YouTube to get your message across to your customers. Just like every other kind of marketing we do, it's all about getting your messages across to your customers. Don't do this alone. Alongside me today, some of you will have already met her in the chat. We have the wonderful Tessa. Now, Tessa is also one of our Google Digital Garage coaches, and she's in there to keep everything together, really. Tessa can answer your questions. Tessa will post you some links. Tessa will let me know whether everything is running smoothly, but it is not her fault when anything goes wrong. That's completely on me. You can tell you speak to the moderator. First, she's called Tessa. Secondly, she has a little blue spanner next to her name. And that shows that, as I say, she's the one in charge. To speak to Tessa, and I would love it if you could get involved in the chat today, you are going to need to be signed in to a YouTube account. If you're not signed in at the moment, pop up to the icon on the right up there. You will be able to sign up or sign in. And then once you're signed into your YouTube account, you can pop into the chat, ask your questions, get them answered, grab those links, and just have a full part in today's session. Today's session is designed to be interactive. So if you all just sit there and don't respond to us, don't chat with us, it's going to be a very quiet session indeed. So please get involved, get your questions in, get your comments in. If I ask you a question, let's have those interactions going. The more interaction we have, the better this session will be all round, I promise you. Other housekeeping for you: if you have any trouble viewing the webinar or, starting the webinar, little bit of refreshing the screen, turn it off, turn it back on again. It fixes a multitude of problems. I'm going to pause through the session, and those questions that Tessa feels would be great for the whole group to hear, she's going to send them over to me, and we are going to take a stab at answering them together for you. So feel free to fire away with those questions as we go. So you do know we're running this Google Digital Garage virtual training as part of our broader offering of courses. So if you want to get involved in there, it's probably how you found us today. Click down to the website. It's in the description below. I did see one question coming through right at the beginning, and that's about a certificate for this. Now, we don't have a certificate for this particular, I think it was Rashini. We don't have a certificate for just watching this particular webinar. What we do have, however, is our free digital marketing course called The Fundamentals in Digital Marketing. If you study for that, if you pass the tests, then you can absolutely earn yourself a certificate that's going to go on your CV and enhance and show that you are a lifelong learner. So it's absolutely worth taking a look at that. Anything else you need to know? No, I think that's pretty much the housekeeping. Captions will be running under the CC. So if you need the captions, do jump in on that. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much good to go. So let's take a look at what we're going to cover in this particular session. We always break our Google Digital Garage sessions down into 3 objectives, and today's no different. We're going to start about thinking about you and kind of who you are and how you're going to be online. So we're going to look at finding a niche and working out, where you're going to direct your channel. What's your purpose? How are you going to start to think about connecting with a particular group of people? Because marketing, like any other marketing tool we use, it's about finding the right people and finding the right way to connect with them. You've then got to think of something to say. And in all of marketing, I often think the hardest part is actually thinking up interesting things to say. We'll call that our engaging content, things that are going to make people want to click to like and click to subscribe and want to come back for more. Are going to find ways that you can tell your story, get your messages across in the most easy to understand way for the people you're trying to reach. And then we're going to work out how you're going to, once you're out there, you've got things to say, how you're going to actually connect with those people, how are you going to get discovered, and really importantly, how are you going to track the work you do? So here's a question for you, just a bit of fun to get using that chat. If you haven't popped in and said hi to Tessa, do so. If you could only watch one topic on YouTube for the rest of your life, it's a bit like your desert island discs, but you only get to choose one topic. What kind of videos would you choose? What would it be? Let Tessa know in the chat, and she'll pass some of those on to me. I guess for me, it would probably be sports content, sports highlights, because there's loads of sport from maybe not the top levels, but the lower down or the less popular, shall we say, things that aren't men's football, for example, that you can actually stay really well in touch with on YouTube. And I love all kinds of different sports and the behind the scenes stuff and meeting the players and learning what's going on. So I think for me, it would be sports content. Listen, I can see we've got Karim who'd have ice hockey or gaming videos. No, you can't do that. You need to choose one. If you could only choose one, what would it be? Scientific modern discoveries from Shuvi. That's brilliant. So yeah, have a think. What would it that you would look at? Tim would have Star Wars. Fabulous. All right, I could get involved in that forever. I'm going to step away. I know we've got an international audience today, and you're all very welcome to join us for this session. However, just if you close your ears for a second, because the offer I've got to talk about just for a minute is available to those businesses and charities based here in the UK. So if you do work for a business or for a charity, and you are based here in the UK, then there's an amazing opportunity to sign up for a free one-to-one mentoring session from Google. As I say, these sessions are completely free. You can help you one-to-one on a range of your digital skills, finding your strategy, working out what your niche is. After you've attended some of these webinars, what are going to be your next steps? Our mentors are very flexible, would love to work with you. So sign up and book a session at g.co/UK mentoring. So why YouTube? YouTube is the world's largest video network, okay? But beyond that, it's actually the second largest search engine in the world. I'm not going to make you guess as to which the largest is. This platform is an amazing place to share stories, and it's an amazing place to build connections. Sometimes when we talk about social media, people they think of Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and TikTok, for example, but they'll actually forget that YouTube is also a social media platform. So the social element of YouTube cannot be understated. In terms of just watching, there are over 2 billion logged in users who visit YouTube each month. That's almost a third of the internet will log in and watch something on YouTube every month. Oh, every day people are watching over 1 billion hours of video, generating billions of views. And there are 500 hours of video uploaded every minute, more than you could possibly watch in a lifetime. So being on YouTube allows people to connect with the people, the brands, the causes, the things that they are interested in. From a business point of view, being present and active on YouTube allows you access to this amazing audience, some of whom might be interested in what you've got to say. Now, YouTube's mission is to give everyone a voice and to show them the world. So YouTube have 4 essential values of freedom. First is the freedom of expression, because on YouTube, people can express themselves and share their story with the world. The idea is that everyone has something important to say, and YouTube believes that people should be able to speak freely, share opinions, foster open dialogue, and that creative freedom leads to those new voices, new formats, and new possibilities. There's a freedom of information. Everyone should have easy, open access to information. Okay, and video is an amazingly powerful force for education, for building understanding, and for documenting world events, both big and small. So whether your passion is cars or cakes, there's a space for you and your passion on YouTube. There's a freedom of opportunity, because on YouTube, anyone can follow their passions, but also anyone can create something that everyone can watch. It means everyone gets a chance to be discovered, gets a chance to build their business, gets their chance to succeed on their own terms. And importantly, it's the people, not some kind of gatekeepers, who decide what's popular. And the final freedom is the freedom to belong, because everybody should be able to find communities of support that can help break down barriers, transcend borders, and help them come together around those shared interests and passion. So with all that said, all those freedoms, lots of people out there waiting to be connected with, how on earth do you start? And our suggestion is that you start by really defining and refining your messaging, by finding your niche. And that's what we're going to come on and have a chat about. So in order to do this, we're going to basically identify the foundations of your channel, okay? It's going to help you to decide what content to create, but it's also really important that you set yourself up to create content that you enjoy, that you're passionate about, because passion comes across in waves through videos. It's very difficult to create content for something that you're not passionate about, but it's also really difficult to watch content created by somebody who isn't passionate about it and for whom you don't share a passion with. So we're going to look at your what. What is your channel about? Your why. Why are you creating that content? We're also going to think about who your audience are. All right, having those considerations are going to think about, what you're about. Are you doing it for fun, for work? Help you to hone your experience and really target it to make sure that the people you want to watch, you're having them in mind and making things that are interesting and engaging for them. All right. Basically, what we want to do is create a full and rounded idea of what you're doing, why you want to do it, and who you're aiming it at, which will help you focus your attention, help you make the decisions. Is this going to help me get towards where I'm going or not? It means you can not do some stuff, which is an amazing thing to gift yourself, the idea that you don't have to do everything, and help you to create with a real purpose, which should help you to hit the nail on the head and create content that's going to connect with people. So we'll start with that. What is your channel all about? What are you going to represent? Okay. Because one of the best things, as we said, about YouTube is that you can engage with and grow a community no matter what you're passionate about. There are other people in the world who are going to be passionate about it too. Either that's comedy, sports, fashion, gaming. When we were talking, the reason I asked that question about, what are you interested in? Karen, ice hockey, all right? There are tons of other people who are passionate about ice hockey out there. Whatever floats your boat, I'm totally with you. Food, billions of people out there who are also interested in connecting on food. And I mean, stories, yeah, absolutely. Looking at the, those stories that are out there. So your passion is a strong or extravagant fondness, enthusiasm, or desire for anything. So if you're not sure what your channel, what you want it to be about yet, starts by thinking about what content do you enjoy? What do you enjoy watching? What do you enjoy thinking about? What do you enjoy? What excites you? Where do you want to be involved? Where's the community that you want to be, a part of? Because through YouTube, you have that power to connect with that large and diverse audience with similar passions to you. You can also, research what's trending on YouTube for inspiration. That can help spark your ideas, but ultimately you need to find something that you are passionate about, okay? So success on YouTube is all about passion. So first up, decide on what your YouTube channel is going to be about, because you're passionate about it, all right? So now you know what you want to talk about, you need to think about the why you want to talk about it. Okay, we're talking about really honing and refining here. Before you jump in and start making videos, you really ought to be focusing in on what you're going to make and why it's going to save you a lot of time later on not, on making videos that nobody wants to watch, for example. So the next thing is your mission, all right? Why did you join YouTube, and what do you hope to accomplish with that content? Why are you creating content? Who are you aiming at, right? What are you aiming for? What do you need to get out of this? So we're looking to think about your goal, all right? Having a goal gives you purpose. Having a goal means you can say, right, I'm getting towards this. This isn't going to help. I don't need to do this particular thing. So we've got 3 YouTubers here. Mama Cherry. Mama Cherry fits with that idea around food, but it's not just videos around food that she's going to make, because the purpose, the why for Mama Cherry is to inspire people to love and cook soul food. Now, I love that description. Soul food just really speaks to this. It tells a story about, the kinds of content that she's going to create and the kinds of, if I'm watching it, what I'm going to get from it. Super Sorrel is different. Super Sorrel has wants to create a community of toy collectors. So these are adults who are nostalgic for, old-fashioned toys. Super Sorrel posts daily, brings toy content and action figure reviews, and unboxes things so other people don't have to. So the goal is to connect into that community with things to do the same. Similarly, a completely different area is Detailing World. And Detailing World want to share their passion for cleaning cars. All right. Actually, Detailing World started as a forum and then started to use YouTube to showcase videos, grow their community, and tell their story in a visual rather than just text-based way all the time. So have a real good think. What is your goal? You can pop it in the chat and let Tessa know. What is your goal? And then you can use that as a foundation to plan out your content, because knowing what you're passionate about and what you want to achieve is really going to help you. All right. So, as I say, you can pop this in the chat and let Tessa know. But share in the chat what your what is. What are you going to do? What are you passionate about? And why are you going to do it? So, for example, my what might be music, and my why might be to inspire people and teach them to pick up the guitar for the first time. Okay, my what might be politics, and my why might be to spark debate and bring people together to have conversations. Brilliant. So we've got Ishani, your what is fashion. I love that. And the why is the love for the industry, designing, the history, but especially Indian fashion techniques and using in Western wear. That, Shani, is an amazing what and why. And you can really see that focus, actually. The more focused and refined you can be with your what and your why, the better. All right. So, thanks for that. Keep popping those in for Tessa. We've got our what, we know our why. All right. So fashion, Indian techniques into the Western market is amazing. Who? To make this stronger, we need to think about who are we creating content for? Who are the people who are going to be interested? Whenever we do marketing, people often say, oh, I want to, everybody could watch my videos. Everybody could be interested in this. And yeah, maybe they could, but realistically, there are going to be people who are most likely to engage with you, most likely to hear what you want to say. So we want to think about the audience and defining who are we targeting? Who are the people, the individual people who are going to click on like, the individual people who are going to subscribe, the individual people who are going to read our description and think, oh, that's an interesting video. I'd love to get involved in that. So you can start with some basic stuff. When I started marketing, demographics were pretty much all we had. Are they male or female? How old are they? Are they parents? What kind of income do they have? Even geographic location. Nowadays, we're really lucky, especially with YouTube, that we can find people based on common shared interests. Is it hobbies, music, sports, history, pets, but we can also think about the kind of content they like to watch. Do they like to watch entertainment, conversational, social content, information content? One of the biggest searches on YouTube, they start how to. People love being shown, educated, informed of how to do stuff using video. Okay. Because all of these details, how old people are, what, how they like to receive information, what kind of content they're looking for, all of those other characteristics can impact the tone of voice you use and even the kinds of content that you create. If you understand loads about your audience, you can create the kind of content in a way you kind of adapt to make sure that they are able to connect with you. You make it as easy as possible for them to receive those messages. So in marketing, we would talk about making a pen portrait or a user persona. All right. Now, it is a thing that marketers have done for years. Books have been written on creating personas. What you are trying to do is identify some common traits of an ideal member of your audience. You may find that as you develop your audience, you actually don't just have one audience you're aiming for. You might have a couple of different behaviors, different characteristics within a particular audience. But let's just think about one persona to represent one of your audience types, your audience segments, all right? So your persona is a representation of your ideal subscribers. What we like to do is give them a name. Pick out how old they are, what jobs do they do, what do we know about them? It's really what we're doing is then when we're creating content, we'll say, would Rowan like this? Because Rowan's 27, he works 9 to 5, he's based in the UK. We know he's a car enthusiast, else he wouldn't be interested in our car detailing videos. All right. We know Rowan goes to car shows when he can. He takes pride in his car. He frequents these online forums. He goes to YouTube to learn. He's got 2 kids and is always short of time. So the more you start to learn about your ideal audience, the more you can start to tailor things to them. Now, how do you go about doing it? If you can create it from research, there are loads of places that you can, sources that you can use to start your research. Good place is to start by identifying any general demographics. And there's a tool called Find My Audience. It's part of the Grow with Google platform, I think. And Find My Audience is to help you find your audience on YouTube. All right. Find Your Audience will help you identify things, pain points, things that people would like to be better in their lives, things that cause them annoyance or pain, but also things that motivate them, desired experience, things they're interested in, things they're passionate about, what their values are, what their goals are. If you already have subscribers, then you can use them to help you create your persona because they already resonate with your content. Try and avoid it if, your family are all subscribed to your channel or all your mates are just because they like you. Try and take that element out and really focus on those strangers, I guess, who, we'll take a look at YouTube analytics later in the session. And I would also suggest that this isn't a one-time deal. This is a thing that you should keep coming on back to. All right. If you haven't got subscribers or a channel yet, don't forget you can take advantage of the YouTube and Google searches. YouTube and Google, 2 largest search engines. So see which keywords you want to get involved in, which keywords that are true to what you want to do are being shown as useful and interesting to other people. We'll look at trends and keywords a little bit later as well. But when you're creating your persona or your personas, as much detail as you can add, the better. Give your persona a name. I once did this it was with a charity, and we had a slightly older audience. They were mainly retired, mainly female, and when we looked at the actual data, we found that a crazy number of them were called Jean. And therefore, Jean became the name of our persona. And we would have meetings and we would say, would Jean like this? Is this something Jean's going to be interested in? Because we got to know this composite Jean as an actual person. So it can also highlight for you here the kinds of content you might create. So here we've got, Rowan's got 2 kids and is always short of time. So quick videos, short videos are going to suit him much more than sitting down and watching a longer form might. All right. So we've got our who, our what, and our why. Let's jump in and pull those together. All right. So these are the foundations of our channel. So for Detailing World, who are trying to reach people like Rowan, their passion, their what is looking after cars. Their why is to share their knowledge and teach other people. And the who from the persona is Rowan, who's a car enthusiast. He loves his car, but he doesn't have much time. Okay. So the content idea for them are create short videos which are going to showcase tips on how to look after your car. And these 3 questions can really help you to identify your niche and give you a really clear idea of the kinds of content you want to create. You can then use that to come up with a variety of ideas and maybe use the strategies in the next section to hone that, define if it's the right direction for you and your goal. All right, I know we have got tons of chat coming in, which is amazing. Thank you for that. I can see that there's no questions that we need me to jump on right now, which is also absolutely fine. I always take that to mean that you're all getting, I'm explaining really clearly, and you know what's going on. So that's fantastic. If it's not the case, get those questions into Tessa. Tessa will be able to answer them anyway. So let's move on now to think about engaging content. All right. So now we're going to think about planning out content, thinking about a content strategy, and thinking also about the kind of technicalities of it, the kinds of equipment you're going to need, how you're actually going to pull this all together. So here's a question for you, because I've been doing a lot of the thinking up till now. Let me know what you think makes engaging content. Think of those favorite channels. What is it? Why do you enjoy watching videos? What kinds of content make you subscribe? What makes you share? What is engaging? No right and wrong answers here. What I'd love to do is just for us to almost crowdsource a few ideas that, are going to help to us all to think about how to be engaging. Because remember, we're not just being engaging for ourselves. We need to think about our persona. What would Rowan find engaging? Lots of people, the kinds of content that tends to come up time and again here are things that, engaging content is interactive. Engaging content is quite targeted. engaging content, might be, shareable, right? So Divine saying information, but also presentation skills. Yeah, there's something magical in how it's presented, Think a bit deeper about that. Which particular bits? Is it that passion coming through? Is it somebody being really human, just showcasing their personality? Okie dokie, what else? Whatever floats your boat says interesting facts. Alessandra's a bit more about the technicalities of the graphics and the flow, something that looks a bit polished, a bit professional. Serena, something entertaining, something relatable, really interesting. And that's where knowing who your audience are likely to be, that relatable means talking to people as if you were talking to, actual people rather than talking to a camera or talking to a screen. Shuvi's saying something that's passionate, so it's got an interesting way of explaining. These are all fantastic. Ishani, good editing. Yeah, that's a really good point. So there's something about the actual content itself, the information there, or the explanation, or the way they go about it being interesting. But then there's also a layer of good production, graphics, the flow, the editing. So there's at least two strands going on there. There's the content itself and how relevant it is. Yes, how relevant that content is. But also then how it's presented. What makes you like? What makes you click subscribe? What would make you share something? Something startling or something put in a way that maybe you wouldn't have thought about it before. All righty. So lots of amazing things to think about there. Thank you for that very much. There are loads of reasons, all kinds of different things that we enjoy about content. We all like watching different things. We all like watching for the different reasons. But the great thing is that there are some simple and effective ways to get your audience feeling the same about your content. So yeah, let's take a look at some creative strategies together. All right, because like everything, there's a process and a plan to be followed, to some key steps to help you to create great content for your audience. All right. So first up, research. Research is going to give you a really strong foundation for that content. And the more planning and research that you do before you pick up your camera and start filming actually is going to save you hours in the long run. We often say that an hour of planning could actually save you 10 hours of doing, 10 hours of filming, 10 hours of making mistakes because you didn't think it through fully enough beforehand. So before you grab your camera, I know you just want to get involved and start making those videos. But the more of the thinking you do, the more you think through scenarios, work through the logistics, the better. Then we're going to think about that equipment. And it's really, with everything we do with Google Digital Garage, we're always thinking of ways that you can use creativity rather than capital. So we're not going to say equipment, right, you need to invest in a £20,000 camera or all kinds of technical equipment. We'll look at some of the ways that you can get started using equipment you already have, and then maybe a couple of key pieces that you might want to invest in or think about investment in as you decide what's right for you. Then we're going to think about creating that content, all right? So once you've got everything ready, it's about going out and giving it a go. There is no better way to learn than through trial and error, all right? If you go back and look at some of your favorite, most polished, beautiful channels, if you go back and look at their early work, the first things that they did, they don't come out of the box perfect and ready to go. I don't believe there's any such thing as perfect. Everything's a learning, iterative process. I find the most important thing, and I think when you speak to creators, they say exactly the same thing. It's about trial and error, giving yourself permission to fail, encouraging failure, because the more mistakes you make, the quicker you're going to learn from them. All right. And then we'll have a little bit about organizing and editing as well. Some of the very simple steps. This isn't going to be a deeply technical session. It's all about getting going, giving it a try, making those first steps along the way. So your first thing is your research, all right? Because being well-informed can really kickstart that creative process. Tons of resources out there and available. In terms of, what you want to do is get inspired. Maybe research looking at other people's videos. If you head to Think with Google, the Find My Audience tool on Think with Google might actually give you some really nice insights on Think with Google, Find Your Audience. There are loads of different articles and videos and things that are really focusing on different areas. You might find something that sparks an idea there. On Think with Google, you'll find tons of data sources, data that's being, collected and made available and for you to explore trends that are happening, but also some forward-thinking pieces. What trends are coming up in various places. You can also see on Think with Google some behind-the-scenes looks at digital campaigns. How have other people done this sort of thing? And there's tons of examples from different industries across different platforms and working with different audiences. So it's a great tool. You could also take a look at something like Google Trends, which looks at search terms over time. You might think about, the classic example is Christmas. If you start thinking 2 weeks before Christmas about creating content for the Christmas market, you've missed your opportunity. So thinking now about what's coming up, I like to have a plan for the whole year and think, what are those key dates that I want to create content to make sure that on that particular day, my content has the maximum impact. Okay. You might notice, a channel might notice that search traffic around unboxing spikes each year, but it doesn't spike late December at Christmas. It spikes about 6 weeks earlier, because people want to see the newest toys for the Christmas market out of the box before they go and invest in them themselves. If you already have a channel, you can utilize YouTube search. So the YouTube search traffic allows you to see which searches directed people to your content, which can give you all kinds of insights and things, how you title your videos, the descriptions you use, the popular formats, and how familiar the audience is with your name or your brand. Listen to experts, look at analytics, watch creators' videos, head to the creator studio and look at, what other people are doing. Watch what your competitors are doing. Look and see who you think are probably going for a similar kind of audience. What content do they put out? How do they put it out? All right. Because you research your passion, research your audience, research everything in between, then we're going to kind of think about the actual technical types of content that you might want to create. Okay, so couple of considerations here. First of all, what's going to be right for your audience, but also what kind of content is right for you? What time and resources do you have? All right, what can you realistically achieve? You need to make time for your channel, time for creating content, time for engaging with people, time for getting on with whatever your day job is, So number of different options. First of all, one-off videos. One-off videos get your message across, quick, impactful, hit. This is what I'm thinking about today. Boom, there goes up my video. All right. Then something a bit more structured might be regular short form videos. All right. So by short form, we mean 3 minutes or under. All right. So if you're planning to be a channel that puts up a lot of content quite regularly, short form's probably the way to go. If you want to do regular short form content, it might be that it comes into a series. So you build up your part 1, part 2, part 3, or you might just have regularly different topics. All of the topics should kind of be always focusing on your what, your why, and your who, remember. So there should probably be some kind of story behind the shape of your content. Videos that are shorter have a higher completion rate. But if you can get viewers to engage over a longer period of time, that longer form video, if you can deliver information in a way that makes people want to keep watching, longer than 3 minutes is your long form, but podcasts, interviews, live streams, documentaries, all of this kind of longer content in terms of might be a way to go if you have those deeper things to talk about. As I say, with a series, what you can actually do is take longer form content and chop it down and release it regularly, or have part 1, part 2, part 3. You can drop them all down on the one day. And people can binge watch them if they want. or you can drop them in over time, regular releases. Idea is probably to start small and build your channel, grow into the platform, or even try and test a few different styles. Really interesting to think that what you're really looking to do is make sure you can manage we used to say, everyone has their first novel in them, or that first album if they're musical. But actually what's hard is coming back and you use all your best ideas on your first few weeks of content. What makes a channel stand or fall is the ability to keep coming back with something interesting, engaging to say, learning from what they've done. So don't just try and shove everything out, all of your ideas out there straight away. Almost decide how you're going to organize them and pop them out in pieces. And when you decide, all of these are valid choices, but think about what works for you, for your what, for your why, and for your who. Release schedules are then quite useful to have. So think about planning out on a calendar with the idea of timing in mind. How much content can you create? Are you going to take a week, do nothing else but content, and then drip feed it in one by one? What days do you want to release on? Are you going to have a regular date that things go out, that people then, expect to see content coming in a couple of days? It's all about helping you to structure and plan your time, but also your audience to get used to when to hear from you. Some creators rotate content types. They have a lightweight roundup from the weekend earlier in the week, and then a higher production value piece later in the week, depending on, the time and how they're going to create things. You could link content to specific days of the week, Tech Review Tuesday or Fun Facts Friday. If you've got more than one video that you've already created and you want to release them over time, you can actually upload them all at the same time and then use scheduled publishing to get them automatically to drop at the times and dates that you set. Might be a way that you can start to manage your time. You don't have to be sitting on YouTube ready to press go when you want it to launch. And also, subscribers can choose to be notified when you post something new. If that's something you're going to be doing, putting out that regular content, at the end of your videos, tell them, we've got regular videos coming out. Hit notify me to make sure that you're kept up to date with the latest thing. Those calls to action in your content is going to help. So we know what kind of content, where we want to release it. Let's think about how to get that message across. All right. And we're talking, somebody mentioned stories earlier in the session. We're thinking here about storytelling, all right? No matter what length of video, what kind of content you want to create, it's going to need a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning is going to have to get people interested in. Now, traditionally, you would have thought, well, I'm going to start at the beginning of the story and work my way through the middle to the end. We need to grab people with our hook in at the beginning, all right? So you might have a few seconds where somebody decides whether they're going to watch this video or they're going to click to skip it. So how are you going to grab their attention at the beginning? If you watch, like the big TV companies, if they're putting together a trailer for a series, they don't start with the chatty bit. They start with the explosion. They start with the car chase. They start with the moment of highest tension, and then they take you back and tell the story because they've got you grabbed in. That's what you need to be thinking about doing with your videos. Your middle portion where you engage is the main content, what you're trying to communicate, why it's important. Keep coming back to those core content goals. Maybe you identify the problem at the beginning, and then you use your middle to explain how you're an amazing solution to that problem for them. Okay. And at the end, we want the call to action. A clear call to action tells your audience what to do next. Do we want them to subscribe, comment, watch another video? Think back to that goal. What you might do is if you find that people aren't necessarily watching to the end, you might even start pulling some of that call to action stuff earlier into the video. Don't forget, find more videos like this. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Right now, we're going to talk about the next part. Okay. focus on the benefits that people might get for subscribing. Let them know what they're going to get from you. And if you've already got that release schedule in mind when you're doing it, then you might be, that might be really interesting. And remember, they might see this on release day, but this might be the first introduction to your channel. So how are they going to know that they've come to the right place? All right. This might be section number 7 in a series of 12, but it's because of search and how the search and find works, they found this one first. So make sure if you're doing some kind of series that you signpost each way. All right. Not just assuming they've seen everything else you've ever created. All right. So use those calls to action throughout the video and make sure people know they're in the right place. Structure for video, when you're writing for your video, you might want to write out what you want to say. Give it a clear flow. Quite often, some people write them all, loads of different ways of doing this. Some people write talking points, some bullet points to remind them of what to say. Other people will write out a whole script with specific dialogue, but then how are you going to deliver that script and it still feel kind of off the cuff and like you just thought it up? Best way to do it is to write with your own flair, write with your own voice. We talked about passion. It's hard to be passionate when you're doing an impression of somebody else. So try and make it as authentically and true to you and your way of storytelling as possible. All right. Write from your experience. Say it the way you would write it and talk directly as if you were talking to Rowan at the other end. Don't be worried about the camera. Realize that it's just Rowan I'm talking to, and I'm going to have that conversation with him. All right. If you are going to do a full script, and even if you're not, a really good way to do, and I'll do this, is I just take my phone, set it to record. You don't even have to, you can do it as a video recording, but you don't even have to look at the camera or anything. Read out the script, read out what you're going to say just on a plain recording, because what I actually use that to do is test for time, test to see how some of the phrases feel. I always give myself a little bit of time between recording it and listening to it back, and use that as time to refine the message. All right. It's the only way to find out if it sounds natural, if it actually says what you want it to say. If you make any changes, if it's going to fit in the timescale, if you make any changes, make sure you read it out loud again till you're happy, because I still could think about this as the planning stages before you get those fancy cameras out. Okay. So when you then take that forward, all right, I've got the script. Where am I going to have those graphics? How am I going to actually make all the different shots? And these haven't changed since, the early days of film. A storyboard can help you plan out the making of your video. You do not have to be an amazing artist to do a storyboard. Mine literally would be little stick figures with maybe bubbles saying what was happening. It can even just be, we're going to do this kind of shot and get this chunk of text in. We're going to do this bit of shot in a different place, and our transitions between are going to be like this. It's about your beginning, your middle, and the end. But rather than trying to, unless you're a beautiful artist, then think about, okay, what are the technical things I'm going to need to get each of these shots? You don't need to film in sequence. For example, if you're going to film some of it, some of the beginning, some of the middle, and some of the end in a different location, in the same location, film all of those parts together and then film anything that goes in between. All right. So remember to keep referring back to that goal. What are you trying to achieve just for the whole video itself, but also for this portion? Is this hooking people in? Is this telling of the story in the middle? Or is this getting them revved up and raring to take that next action? What props are you going to need? Who's going to help you make it? Get all of these done in the planning before you think about getting that equipment together. We would always say to start with the basic equipment that you already have. You probably already have a really good video camera on your phone. Most camera phones are now really high resolution and definitely good enough to get you started. Okay. If you can, think about how you're going to mount that smartphone and keep it steady. A stable image looks much better than one created by holding it by hand. If you can't invest in a tripod right now, then, balancing it on some books or a shelf, or finding a way. I've used like a jar before now to lean my phone against, line up the shot and then hit go and then run around the other side. There's loads of ways of doing it with a little bit of ingenuity. And lighting. Good lighting really enhances the way things look on camera. If you can't see it, you can't interact with it, you won't see the passion of it coming through. Best kind of lighting there is absolutely for free. On a sunny day, shoot towards the light. Have the light, then the camera, then your face. All right. Angle the lighting to balance left and right if you're having, and think about how shadows are cast across by various things as well. Tons of options when it comes to video editing software, but most creators start with the free editing software that's already installed on their computer, something like iMovies or Windows Movie Maker, free online editing apps, or even you can do it on your phone. There are editing apps on most smartphones already. You can also do quick editing touch-ups in YouTube Studio if you wanted to add end screens, trim video. If you have a one piece that goes all the way through, with no editing in between, then you can do a few touch-ups in YouTube Studio. In terms of adding to your basic video, make a few videos with what you already have, and then work out whether you need to invest in a tripod or a better tripod. Some people are now getting gimbals, handheld gimbals, to film on the move, which keeps, no matter how much you wiggle, the gimbal keeps the camera a lot steadier. There are lots of affordable LED lights available to buy. You can get them online, which gives you more flexibility, ring lights and key lights and things. Make sure the light's coming from behind the camera and directed towards what you're capturing. I think sound is massively important for most people. The microphone on your camera, and I think for a lot of people, sound would be the first improvement you could make that's really going to have an impact. The microphone on your phone was designed to be picked up speaking from here. If you start filming from back here, that's going to start to become an issue. And if you're filming from across the way, especially outside, so consider investing in a microphone. Even a lot of phones come with an earphone with a microphone on it. That's going to be better than just the microphone on the camera itself. And then there's more sophisticated video editing software. As you get more experience with creating content, you might want to look at having editing software that gives you more options. All right. Start making content with what you have and then grow your kit. When you're thinking about the filming, think about what can be seen. All right. The key, a lot of people will focus just on the subject. Look around, see what else is going on. You don't want to, we always film in dark colours with a plain background. Don't wear prints, don't wear stripes. Can you see logos? What is going on around what's going on, if you see what I mean? Make sure you contrast with your background and don't blend in. Think about the space you're going to film. Don't film in a room with lots of hard surfaces, bathrooms, kitchens, anything that doesn't have any sound dampening, because you're going to get weird echoes. It's the reason that a lot of people don't like the sound in a swimming pool, because it's all of those hard reflective surfaces. So avoiding those echoes is really important. And then think about movements, think about angles, camera positions. How can you make this shot more interesting? Can you go up or go down? How's your video going to open? How's it going to close? What are the key moments in between? And then think about how that's going to affect your sound. If you're moving around a lot, how are you going to make sure that you can still be heard? You might want to consider recording your audio separately. There are free audio apps like Rec4 or Recorder Plus that can help you with that. In terms of a basic edit, it's about importing and organizing your footage, labeling it up, taking what you've got, discarding what you don't need, then adding any visuals, adding any sound effects, pulling in the audio at this point, making sure your sound is really clear. Try listening to your video with your eyes closed when you're editing and see whether it, whether it still makes sense, whether it is of interest to you. You might want to make any color corrections, balance the colors so it feels consistent across the project. And then pull it all together, export it from the program you're using it, and then upload it in. Make sure you review it a few times. And I would always give yourself time before reviews to just make sure that with a little bit of space and distance, it still does what you want it to do. That's a really quick overview of the steps. Best place to do and learn how to edit is to go to the people who do this all the time. So if you head over to the YouTube Creators Academy, they've got an amazing guide to beginners video editing. So I would head over to there, and that's going to help you understand. All right, I'm just going to check in, and I can see that Tess has been answering all the questions as we've gone through, which is amazing, because I just want to quickly take you through a short section on tracking and measurement. All right, so there's ways you can get discovered. Search, we've said YouTube's a search engine. The search theory that you might do about getting a website found, getting yourself discovered on search, the same sorts of principles apply. How do people search? What questions are they asking? And what information are you providing that matches what they're looking for? Use all of the places available. Make sure you have a good searchable video title that also makes sense to the person who spots it. Oh, that's an interesting video. Make your titles interesting, make them succinct, and make them keyword rich. All right. Use really good descriptions to tell the story of the video. Why would somebody watch this video? What are they going to get out of it? Remember that audience and think about the words they're using. Tags are really important. Help people to find your video, even if they're not specifically looking for it. And then you can think about promotion as well. So keywords wise, think about the popular terms around the video. You can look at the keyword planner. You can look at, if you start typing, a great way to get involved in research is to use autocomplete. So here they've put in car cleaning, and they start with car cleaning, and YouTube says, oh, well, other people who've searched for this, say guru, hacks, UK, tips, car cleaning. Oh, I've got an interior video that's all about, got some tips and some hacks. I'm going to use those words in my description. All right. So optimize your video SEO around existing keywords. Help your video to get found initially. And you use those to be searchable. So you put those in your titles and in your descriptions. Reinforce those important words. How-tos, 10 steps. Those are the kinds of content types. Unboxing, the different things that people might be looking for. Make sure you, if you've got an unboxing video, make sure you use it in the title, in the description, and tag it as such. And then make sure you front load your description. It's not just about being short, it's about the portion of it that's visible. You get the snippet at the beginning, make sure the most interesting stuff is front loaded into that in a way that genuinely makes sense to be read. All right. So think about how you're going to label up the labels, the content. What descriptions can you use to make your content stand out? And video tags are down here. As you upload, you can go to the tags field and use more options to do some general, but also some specific tags to really thoroughly, accurately describe your video. Here, this example, it's probably tiny, but it says hashtag haul, hashtag toy haul, and hashtag shopping haul. So use keywords and their synonyms, because these tags, these terms are going to help you maximize your search. Okay, think about the information that might not be communicated in the title and description, and think about how you would search on YouTube and make sure it matches. All right. Lots of ways to, promote your channel on all of your other social medias. Make sure that you are cross-promoting integrated. So here you can subscribe and get social on all my other platforms as well as my subscribe. So Mama Cherry is saying, come on, find me on YouTube, find me on Instagram, find me on Twitter. And then on her other channels, she's always making sure that she's referring back and popping in some YouTube content and making sure she's listing her other channels there. So it's about cross-promoting to your other places, maximizing what you're doing. YouTube analytics is fantastically important once you are up and running. Understand your users. When are they watching? What types of content are they watching? What other creators do they have an affinity for? Okay. The stats are going to help you know what's working and what's not to help you adapt and change and build your channel. So the kinds of questions you can be asking, are people interested? Look at the average view duration, your watch times. How long are they watching? If people are watching for 2.5 minutes, then getting bored, think about making content, make that shorter form content that gets that message across quickly. What's happening at around 2 minutes that means they're leaving? Okay. Are they seeing and hearing and watching your video and your content? Are they clicking through? They've seen my impression that says they've seen my video somewhere, but how many people see the video somewhere, then click through and watch it? That's your click-through rate. Join us for Get Started with Analytics, actually. We have another webinar that talks about analytics, which will really help you with these parts. All righty, we've taken so much, we've covered a lot today. What I want you to really think about, having your basics right. Okay, so your basics is about finding your niche. Know what you want to be talking about, who you want to be talking about, and why you are doing all this. That puts you in the right place to then create content, research it, plan it, use what you've got to get started, make some mistakes, and iterate and make yourself better. In terms of doing that, in terms of what improvements to make, use your analytics to see who's watching, when they're watching, why they're watching. And then you can feed that right back in to make sure that content continues to be engagement. Don't be afraid of trying something new. All righty, next steps for you. I'd love it if you popped it into the chat and just let Tessa know what you're going to do after watching this video. What are you going to try? What's going to be the first thing you do? It might be go and get your food, because we've spoken a lot about food, as we always do in Google Digital Garage. Don't forget that one of your next steps might be, if you're based in the UK and you work for a small business or for a charity, then you can sign up for a free one-to-one mentoring session from Google. As I say, it's a free resource. You can spend time one-to-one with somebody to really help you go into some detail. Other than that, thank you so much for your questions, for your comments. I knew it was going to be a great session when we had such a lot of engagement, so thank you for that. Mentioned at the beginning of the session, head over to the Google Digital Garage website for lots more ways you can continue learning. Other than that, thanks to Tessa for being an amazing moderator, as always. We both look forward to seeing you again on another Google Digital Garage training session sometime soon. Have a great day.